we have to prepare our sleeve. From this area of the sleeve until this area, from here to here, the cup line, we will run a stitch on the sewing line. And we will leave thread allowance on both sides of the end of our stitch to around 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters. So we will do the same procedure on the other side of the sleeve. As you can see, we did not add, this is just regular stitch size. We did not add to the length of the stitch. Now we will be sewing together the side seams of the sleeve. Now we will reverse the sleeve to its right side. And we will pull the thread and draw the stitches to form gathers. We pull the thread from the right side of the fabric because the thread is coming from the bobbin winder, and this is easier to pull. So the thread coming from the bobbin winder is easier to pull. While if the thread coming from the needle is pulled, it will create a snag. Because the thread coming from the machine needle is looped on the thread coming from the bobbin winder, we pull from both ends. After gathering the stitches, we actually loosen it up, and we just want to form a curve or a cup so that it can easily follow the armhole curve. We know which one is the front side from the back side because we have marked the front side. This is the center mark of the cup line. So we will align or pin this front side on the front side of our blouse. To prepare the attachment of the sleeve, we have to pin the sewing allowances. Here are the sewing allowances for the shoulder. Here are the sewing allowances for the side seams. We also have to pin the sewing allowances of the side seams of the sleeve. Then, as you can see, this is the front side of the blouse bodice, and this is the side seam. And as I said, this is the front side of the bodice. And we will insert the sleeve this way. And we will open this area of the sleeve, the side seam, and align it. If you can see the seam of the side seam of the blouse, and this is the front, we will place the seam of the side seam of the sleeve 1/2 of an inch or 1.3 centimeters away from the seam of the side seam of the blouse. Since you may find this procedure quite complicated, I will repeat my demonstration. So this is the side seam of the bodice. This is the front side, and this is the back side. We insert our sleeve this way, and as you can see, This is the side seam of the bodies, the front and the back, and this is the side seam of the sleeve. This is the front side seam of the sleeve, and this is the back side seam of the sleeve. As I have mentioned, we know which one is the front because we have marked this. Anyway, see this side seam of the bodies. From this seam, we will go out 1/2 of an inch or 1.3 centimeters. And this is where we will attach the seam of our sleeve this way. And we will align the sewing lines. Okay, this is the sewing line. As I can see, this is the sewing line of the sleeve, and I will attach it to the sewing line of the front bodies, of the armhole of the front bodies. And I will pin it this way with the head of the pin on this side. Okay? As you can see, this is not very flat, so we will adjust the side seam allowance this way. Then we will repin. Okay? So, as I said, we get the side seam, the sewing line on the side seam of the sleeve, and pin it on the side seam, 1/2 of an inch or 1.3 centimeters away from the side seam of the main bodies, this way. And the head of the pin should be on this side. Okay? Now, you see that this is the center of our cap line of the sleeve. We will, or there, you can see that there's a center. This is the shoulder seam. This is the front, and this is the back. Now, the center of the sleeve, we will pin 1/2 of an inch or 1.3 centimeters away from the shoulder seam on the back bodies. So we will get the sewing line, and again we have to pin, well, this is the center actually. We have to pin on the sewing line and align it on the sewing line of the main bodies. And again, the pin should be pinned this way. Okay? Okay, my assistant will continue the pinning process. Okay, we're just realigning the sewing lines of the sleeve cap and the armhole of the bodies. If the cap line is tight, then the gathering or shearing is loosened. If the cap line is loose, then you have to regather. Okay, now we can start sewing. As you can see, we sew from the inside of the sleeve. That's why we also position the pins this way so we can easily remove the pins. We have to be slow in sewing the sleeve onto the bodice. We also have to make sure the bodice area is flat. Otherwise, we might sew a folded part of the bodice on the sleeve attachment, which means we have to rip and resew this area. You can actually hand baste this, but it's quite difficult also. There might be unnecessary movement of the sleeve.